where I wanted to start was to just give you an overview, and you might already know this, right? I know you're pretty familiar with the inventory in Terra Cove, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of context of what's out there, and then specifically show you your property. So one of the things that we talked about on the phone was the fact that your listing was not really put in the right way. And what I mean by that was you weren't fully syndicated everywhere that you could be. So what I did was, this is what your listing looks like in the MLS. But at the bottom of the in the broker notes, there's a section. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You know what? It's our internet connection here.
Yeah, it's like a slow.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, put your Wi-Fi. Maybe we're gonna connect our hotspot. Maybe be able to get a much better connection.
Okay, good.
Hotel's connection keeps going in and out. You know, you go to work sometimes in these places and can't get nothing accomplished because of
Yeah, no, I understand.
So, if you can give us a minute.
Sure, no problem. It's the it's the Pandora's box of technological progress, right?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, you seem to be much clearer. Is it a better connection now?
It's so far, yeah.
So far, yeah.
Okay.
The last thing we heard was about the actual marketing piece or the
syndication piece. So all I did, to just give you a brief overview before I go into what I do, I pulled all of the inventory within Terra Cove. As you know, there are quite a few of active properties. There have been quite a few that have expired, unsold, and canceled. So all I'm trying to demonstrate here is you've got competition, but you know that. What I wanted to see originally was, were you syndicated the right way? Because that tells me if you've gotten the maximum exposure that you could get potentially. And so, and I talked about this with you on the phone a bit about any broker advertise. So I'm just showing this to you from a brokerage perspective. In the MLS, where it talks about your property, and I'm highlighting it here, any broker advertises no. So what that means is you weren't fully syndicated everywhere that you possibly could be, which, again, there are three reasons that properties don't sell. You know all of them. The first one's price. The second is the condition, which I don't think has anything to do with why yours did not sell. And then third is marketing. With a lot of activity or a lot of competition out there, you want to have maximum exposure. And when the answer to that is no, it just simply means you didn't get the maximum exposure. So that's something obvious that I would correct.
Was there an extra charge for her to have said yes to that field?
No.
Maybe it was an oversight.
Well, it's potentially an oversight. My suspicion is, and again, I'm not talking badly about Karen. I don't know her. I would never do that. My experience is, when the answer is no, it puts the brokerage in a better position to capture both sides of the transaction. So it's good for them. It's not really the best for you.
That doesn't surprise me.
So again, I would never do that. And with that in mind, so you found me through my mailer, correct? Is that?
Yes, you sent me.
Okay. All right. So first of all, there are plenty of. I'm sure you got tons of phone calls from other agents trying to.
I get probably 25 of them a day.
Okay.
Along with mail.
I just got one like 20 minutes ago.
Along with mailers.
Sure. Okay, so well, look, I appreciate that you're taking the time to meet with me. I know there's plenty of people out there, and I'll just go through briefly what I do. And to give you some history, I was a stockbroker for 18 years, successful business, got married, had kids, decided I didn't want to be in the high stress environment of being a stockbroker anymore. So got out of that and became a realtor. I partnered with the top seller on Zillow through Remax, worked as his buyer's agent for the first year, quickly outgrew him, and I went with the brokerage that had the best systems and processes and model for me to be able to expand, grow, and accomplish exactly what I wanted to do. And so with that in mind, I'm with Remax Direct, which let me move this. All right. So I'm with Remax Direct. I offer some guarantees. The first one is a 1-day listing agreement. So what does that mean to you? It means after 24 hours of your property being listed on the MLS with me, you wish to cancel the listing agreement for any reason, you're able to immediately without any hassle, cost, or obligation. You're always 100% in control. We work for you. You're the boss. We believe in accountability, and we're going to work extremely hard from the second you decide to list with us until your property's sold. If we don't do that, well then, bam, you can fire us. I also have some other, look, I was a stockbroker for 18 years. I knew that it would be important for me to have solutions for everyone. Now, I don't think these are going to necessarily apply to you or be something you're interested in. And so I won't spend a ton of time with it, but I do want you to know that, I never know who I'm going to speak to, what their needs are. I always want to have a solution. So I've partnered with different investors out there. They offer an immediate buyout. So what does that look like, and what does that mean to you? They would buy your home up front, allow you to rent the property back for up to 6 months while we help you find your dream home. The offer is, look, it's always a lowball offer. It's somewhere between 70. It's rarely 90, but in some cases it's 90% of market value, depending on location and condition. All those terms are 100% provided up front, so you can be in the best position to make the best decision for you and your family. I don't believe that's something you're interested in, so, or is it?
Not really. I mean, we had the place rented.
Not at this time.
So yeah, we're not anxious. We're not moving out of state. We're not.
Okay. So I'm not going to.
We had 26 homes, and this is like our last investment property.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this then, because I know that's not what you want. In addition to that, we've got a sold or we buy it program, same investors, same terms. Again, if this was something you wanted to explore, we could have an offer to you within 72 hours. But again, you're not interested. I suspect you're not interested in a lowball offer.
How do they come up with the percentage of like the value?
Great question.
You gave me. I don't remember exactly the amount, but I think did you provide, or was your recommendation 337,000 as the list price?
Yeah, that sounds right. Mm-hmm.
So what would they offer?
Significantly less.
Based on that?
No, significantly less. So it would be significantly less than that. They would, I suspect, come in, do their own analysis. Again, these are investors. They're looking for a return on their investment. So they're looking to, if your needs were different and your position was different and you just needed to be cashed out, they would be a good solution for you. But you're not getting anything close to market value on your property.
No, I understand that. Yeah. So, I mean, so I guess they will go in there and see. I mean, the property's 2-3 years old. It's new. It's nothing.
Right.
I mean, everything is made and stuff like that.
Yeah. So again, we could do that for you. I can tell you that it's not the number that you want. There's no question in my mind that it's not what you want. So our guarantee might not work for you. Again, I don't know who I'm speaking to. I don't know, I never know who my audience is going to be. For the purpose of this presentation, I want to have solutions for everyone. It might not work for you. It could work for your buyer. But honestly, in Terra Cove, with the end user of that type of property, I don't think either of these are going to really be beneficial to anybody. You've got buyers that can afford the property. So what does it take to sell your home for the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress to you? Three things must happen. I call them the 3 Ps: presentation, promotion, price. Presentation is exactly what you think it is. It's how your home looks to a buyer who comes in person, to a buyer online using photos and videos, and then to other realtors. Your home's a product that's for sale. It needs to be presented at its best at all times. We'd work with you going room by room to ensure the home is presented at its best at all times. Now, from what I saw in the pictures, you have an immaculate home. I don't think there's anything really that you would need to do. I will email you separately. I've got a preparing your home for market guide, which you can peruse and look at. But again, I don't know who I'm meeting with. There are times I go into a property and it looks like an episode of Hoarders. Fortunately, that's not the case for you. So I don't think there's a whole lot that needs to be done from a presentation standpoint on your property.
Yeah, probably the only room that's kind of congested is the garage, because I believe her brother, he must pay for the storage, because it seems like he's like a contractor, and so he keeps the equipment in there.
It's not just contractor. They've got like all their fun sports things. So they got like little carts. Yeah. They've got canoes. They've got fishing poles. They've got, but it's a 1-car garage. So and there's no racks up on the ceiling.
Right.
So everything is pretty much laid out on the floor area. I mean, they keep it somewhat neat considering the amount of stuff they have in there. But it's not a place like you go in there and just start hanging out. You know what I mean? Because there's barely walking space.
When we lived there for 6 months, I mean, we parked our car in there. That's where we used the garage. We had nothing in there.
Sure.
So, it was present.
From a promotion, I mean, promoting the property, honestly, most people aren't going to spend any time with that. And the garage is a garage.
Exactly.
That's not something that's critical to really worry about at all. They know what a garage is. So promotion, this is how we market and expose your home to the most amount of buyers and other realtors. Pictures obviously are going to be your home's first impression. Now with this, all I'm looking to demonstrate to you, we've got a professional photography team that comes in, takes amazing pictures. These are actually properties in my neighborhood where I live. Again, I always want to feature the best parts of the property. So depending on where you're at, if there's an overhead view or a pool or anything that's captivating imagery, I want to highlight that. So in my neighborhood, they're pool homes. Again, crisp, high definition, wide angle lens, aerial pictures, whatever I can do to captivate, create clickbait for people so that they'll click on my marketing. I want to do that. Now this last one, you're going to have to take my word for it. I'm good. We've got a great photographer. Unfortunately, I'm not so great with this software. That's a twilight shot. You can't really tell it. You can't really make that out on, I think, on your end in this presentation, but it's an amazing twilight shot. Just take my word for it. Now, so those same properties I showed you, this is what it looks like from other realtors who actually put homes in the MLS for sale that did not use a professional photographer, how they did it on the left and how we do it on the right. Obviously, if you're going to hire a realtor to do the job of getting your home sold, you got to have a professional photography enlisted in that process. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this because I know you can't have it in your subdivision, but when I can, I never want to lose an opportunity to connect with somebody who's interested in your property. So if I was allowed to have a for sale sign in front of your property, I would. But in addition to that, I would have a sign writer which allows them to text a code and then get all of the marketing on your property. For whatever reason, in today's day and age, people don't like making phone calls anymore. But if they can text something, they're more. I find they're more apt to actually do that. Now, the good thing with this is, someone requests. Well, you'll find that I've got systems and processes around all this. But anytime anybody inquires about your property, they get all of the marketing information that they could possibly want about your property. I get all of their information. And then when we relentlessly hound them until they either buy something or die. I'm only kidding. They don't necessarily die. So we've got 24/7 buyer information online. We use text and phone technology big time. What I mean by that is I'm able to extract the data from everyone. Terra Cove obviously is a small subdivision, but I still want to connect with everybody locally and let them know that your property is for sale. We do that in a variety of different ways. So we can go out there and do and we do, circle prospect around your property, let your neighbors know that the property is for sale, but also ask if they happen to know someone that might be interested in buying it so they can pick their own neighbor. I'm throwing as much against the wall and seeing what sticks, because I never know where the buyer is going to be. We can also do that with text technology. So all of our marketing, we can do a text blast, let them know that your property is for sale, invite them to an open house. We're very comprehensive in terms of connecting with the local area to see if we can drum up some business. We've got a realtor on call at all times, including evenings, weekends, and holidays, to answer any questions and show your property. Excuse me. Now, websites. This is really the nuts and bolts of where you're going to find your buyer. I say 95% of home buyers. It's probably 99.9. Almost everyone starts their home search online. Your home is going to be advertised on over 3,000 top national and global websites. It's actually more than that. But again, it's not about just being online, but how we expose your home online using photos and tours. Bless you.
Thank you.
So we advertise on every top national and global website. Your home would be advertised. And by the way, this is what did not happen when your syndication was no. You were put on some of the top portals, but you weren't put everywhere. So you did not have maximum visibility. With us, you're going to be in over 68 countries and 3,000 plus websites that have a combined 60 million views per month. So when we can, we use a yard sign. I know we can't there, so it's not that big of a deal. I can work around it by doing my circle prospecting. We use e-flyers. I'm very big on social media. If you Google me, you'll see my online presence. I'm constantly putting out content about your property and trying to create engagement. I've got a social media guru who uses Facebook and Google algorithms to get our marketing in front of active shoppers that are looking for properties similar to yours throughout the world. And it's something I do completely different than anybody else out there. So we can get our marketing everywhere in the world. And as soon as someone clicks on that, I get access to their name, their phone number, their contact information. They get our marketing. And then again, my process is such that they're getting a phone call from, now I'm not going to tell you it's always me, it's not, but it will be somebody from my team within 5 minutes. Again, trying to create a dialogue, find out if they're interested in your property. We're big on realtor networking. So anytime a listing comes on the market, we blast every brokerage within South Florida, let them know the property is for sale. And then within our own organization, we do a weekly meeting and let them know that, let everyone within the team know that your property is for sale. So everybody knows, right? We also have a 48-point marketing strategy to get your property sold, which I'll email you separately, but we do everything on the list. So at this point, do you have any questions about how we would market your home?
No, I mean, it's clear to me that she didn't use any of these marketing tools, because I kept asking for some sort of update on the type of marketing and results. And
the only thing she did was like, she did some flyers,
Mm-hmm.
and in the neighborhood and such, and she tried to send us stuff that she had supposedly done, and I'm not saying that she didn't do them. I just kept getting the impression like it wasn't followed up with, and almost like she was just letting her whole team do all the work, and she was and on one occasion, she made a comment about showing the property, but it was like after 5 o'clock, which is usually the most crucial time as far as I'm familiar with just past experience with real estate. And she was basically, because she didn't want to have to deal with traffic getting back home, because she wasn't living near to the area. And I'm like, wait a minute, if you're the realtor, it doesn't matter what time you're getting home, you need to make sure that you're, you know, able to be out there. The other thing was that she ended up having another realtor be the one who was actually doing the open houses. She did like 2 or 3 open houses, if I'm not mistaken. However, with a gated community, an open house is a nice idea, but it's kind of not as functional because you have to make sure you have a code out there so people can get in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or a system set up. And so that kind of made me wonder. The person that and partly the reason we had agreed to let her have this other person promote do the open houses was because our tenant, I think, was feeling a little uncomfortable about having people come through the house. And it turns out that the person that we allowed was the tenant's stepfather. And so, I mean, he was very professional. I did meet him and he seems very nice and everything. But to me, it's like, okay, well, how much marketing is really being done? I actually, one time they had the open houses, we actually came, parked the car just to see what was happening. There was hardly no action that day. I actually went to one of the properties that was exactly like my house. The benefit that house had was that it had a pond in the backyard. So it didn't, it had a little bit of backyard space. It had a screen mesh area with a sitting area behind the house. But other than that, the house was really about exactly the same size, square footage, and layout as mine. And yet I want to say they were probably priced exactly as we were, or slightly like $1,000 below that, or something to that effect. I'm like, well, definitely we have to go lower than where they are because, we want to attract people in.
Sure.
And that's when I discovered, some of the discrepancies that I noticed.
Right.
The other thing I did notice, though, during that time, you mentioned about yard signage, is that no, they don't permit signage on the property itself. However, I did notice that realtors were putting signage on the fence at the gate entrance. So I don't know if that's something that you guys do at all or not. I mean, not that that's helpful if they don't know which house it is.
So I don't, that to me seems like a complete waste of time because it's great for me to have, look, any place I can have my sign is good for me. It doesn't necessarily benefit you in any way because there's no connection to your property. What I want to, the thing that I think is most important is getting you maximum exposure and your property maximum exposure. And some of the things that you just, so the open house concept is one that I like, but for different reasons than you probably think. An open house, and we do what's called a mega open house strategy. And you're right, it is difficult to do it in a gated community. It presents challenges. We still do it, but it's mostly to generate buyer leads for me. It almost never sells you a property. So to be very frank, I think it's a complete waste of time. I wouldn't advise it unless you think it's something that's important. I think there are many more effective ways for us to connect with buyers, and I would rather spend the time and energy and money in doing that. I know it's more effective. I'm looking to find the buyer for your property, and entertaining the neighbors or having or wasting time on a Saturday with the nosy neighbors just doesn't, to me. It's great for me to connect with the neighbors, but I do that in other ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So price. Now, clearly there's inventory out there that we're competing against, right? So presenting your property at the right price is going to save you time, money, and frustration. We'll work with you one-on-one to set the best price to attract the most buyers. And as soon as we're finished here, I'll go into that pricing presentation that I emailed you already. The number one complaint I found about the rules.
Question on the.
Sure.
I have a question on that. You said about the global marketing.
Sure.
How does that? I mean, knowing that we're in West Palm Beach area, Florida, and stuff, has that business increased in the past few years, or it's always been? Because like you said to me in Rochester, New York, we're gonna do global advertisement, that's not going to really appeal to me. But being in Florida, maybe there is some, I don't know, some reasons and maybe distraction from that.
So what we're able to do is using Google, and that's one of the that's why I have a social media guru who I've hired to do these things. So based on consumer behaviors online, on what they're doing, we're able to get the data in front of them, your marketing in front of them. So it doesn't matter if somebody, now I don't believe that the buyer of your property is going to be from mainland China, but I'm just using that as an example. If somebody is in Thailand and they're displaying certain behaviors online that triggers our marketing getting in front of them, it's going to land in front of them. So I don't know where that. So you're right. There's probably going to be less of a demand from an international buyer for Rochester, New York, but there's always a demand in South Florida. So whether it be seasonal buyers, obviously we're in the season right now, or someone just looking to escape winter forever, there's always a demand for that. So my job is to find them and get more specifically, get our marketing in front of them, no matter where they are, whether it be up north or anywhere else in the world. And that's what we're really good at. So, and that is different than the syndication, because, so just to unpack that for you, that marketing that I'm talking about, using the SEO, using the Google Analytics, using Facebook, is totally different than the syndication that happens if your marketing had said yes to any broker advertise, you would have been put in front of a lot more buyers or potential buyers. But that's completely different than what I'm talking about in terms of going out there, using the analytics to get our marketing in front of the active shoppers. We do both. So you're covered by both, but I can tell you that nobody's doing it on the level that I am at all. At least I haven't found it. So you had mentioned, or actually your wife had mentioned, that there was a lack of communication with the other realtor. What my process is, so well, first of all, it is actually the #1 complaint about the real estate industry. That's never going to be the case with us. You're going to receive notification the second your home is shown. It actually starts before then. You'll get notification of a request to show your property, right? You'll also receive from us on a weekly basis. On Mondays, you'll get a statement which will review everything that's happened in the last week as it relates to actual showings. And then something just popped up on my screen. Not sure how trying to get this here's a gift thing. do you see in the middle of the screen there's another
Lockbox?
Like a lockbox?
There's a lockbox, but then there says here's a gift. I don't know where that came. I think this is Zoom telling me I've unlocked.
Oh no, we can't see that.
We can't see it.
Okay, let me see if I can go back here. Okay. All right. So you're going to receive notification from us as soon as your property is a requested showing happens, right? Showing Time, which is a software system that we use, is going to send a survey out to every realtor who comes to see your property, and we're trying to get feedback from them. Now, I'm also one step ahead of that, because if they don't respond to our feedback request, I actually follow up with them and on the phone ask them, I want as much feedback as I can get about your property. What do they think about the price? This isn't rocket science. Is your client interested in the property? Because if I can communicate to them right out of the gate, my seller is very motivated. We'd love to put a deal together. Is your buyer interested? It tends to change the dynamic of the process. So I'm always doing my best to communicate that message to them to hopefully, facilitate an offer. My point is we're going to keep you constantly updated every step of the way. Now, this is a lockbox. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with it. I think you know what a lockbox is and what it does. The great thing with this is we're able to, using this brand of lockbox, I'm able to get a lot more data on who comes to see the property, and it just protects you at a higher level. So that's the standard that I use. The number one concern from homeowners I found is being locked into a long-term contract with a realtor that overpromises, underdelivers, never communicates, doesn't do their job. I guarantee this is not going to happen with us. We're going to do everything that we promised to do, and then if we don't, you can fire us. So I do that through a one-day listing agreement, which again is after 24 hours of being on the MLS, you wish to cancel the contract. As long as we haven't accepted a purchase contract, you're able to at any time for, without any hassle, cost, or obligation. You're always 100% in control. So why choose Chris Igoe and RE/MAX Direct? We're a full-time, full-service real estate team that works together to get your property sold. We've got 6 offices throughout Palm Beach County. We've sold 15,000 homes since 2008. We're currently selling more than 1 a day. RE/MAX Direct sells more real estate locally than any other brand. We're approaching $4 billion in completed sales. RE/MAX itself, the brand, is the #1 real estate brand worldwide. We've got 90,000 agents in over 85 countries. And we do receive referrals throughout the year from international buyers looking for properties in South Florida. We've got the experience along with the proven strategies to get your property sold. But look, here's how I can look you both in the eye and tell you that nobody is going to work harder or more aggressively to get the job done than me. That's my family. I don't receive a salary. I am a commission-based 1099 independent contractor. I own my own business. I would not invest the time, money, energy, effort in the property if I didn't know 100% that I could sell it. So I know I can sell it. Do you have any questions before we discuss the current market analysis?
That you just finished saying something right now. You kind of faded out, and then you said, "I know," and then you went.
Oh, I know I can sell your property.
Oh, okay.
And then I asked if you had any questions.
Okay. Trying to think. With the one-day contract, because that's not a concept that we're used to. And so, we're 30 days into this, and if we're not happy, we can cancel the contract.
Correct.
Without any charges.
Yes.
Even for prior advertisement costs.
Yeah. So if you today you say, Chris, you're hired. We love it. Give it a shot. We're going to go out there, do everything that we do to get the property sold. I'm willing to take the risk that you're going to be thoroughly impressed and we're going to get the job done. And if for some reason I haven't lived up to my end of the bargain or performed the way I said I'm going to, I expect to be fired.
Yeah. I mean, you said a couple of words that you don't really hear, or terms that you don't hear in real estate, at least in the 25 years that I've been involved, through rental properties and buying, selling, and fixing, and selling, and stuff like that, is analytics, and there was another term, because you don't really hear that, and algorithms and
Sure.
stuff, particularly now with today's technology. You mentioned that you were a stockbroker. I'm learning how to trade online currency and futures. So I hear the term algorithm. Plus, at work,
Sure.
we use algorithms all the time. I work at Palm Beach State College, and so you don't really hear those terms mentioned in real estate, not once by a prior agent.
Sure.
I think, not to, again, to throw her under the bus, but it sounds to me that she's still working under the 90s model. And we're in a different age now, and technology is, if you're not up to speed with technology, it's going to make it very difficult to run a business.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I'll give you a stat that's kind of, I think it's shocking. There are 40,000 agents in Palm Beach County, 40,000 licensed agents, and of those 40,000, only 1,000 do 10 deals or more a year. So there's a huge amount of people who are either part-time or, pardon my French, half-assed, and they don't understand how to market, or they haven't adopted or changed to the way the market is these days. And that's, that's over time, that's going to be why I dominate South Florida. So we're really good at that. And I know that we can get your property sold.
Well, we use Remax in Rochester. We have a real close friend, very successful Remax agent, Carol Snow. I mean, she was exceptional.
Great.
She sold several of our properties.
Yeah, she sold several, and we bought from her several properties. And so, we're familiar with Remax.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Remax first.
My brother-in-law works for Keller Williams, and that's, I still don't know much about what I know what their concept is, but I'm not sure where they're at in terms of their technology.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. The technology that I bring to the table is not Remax based. It's proprietary. I went out there, and when I say proprietary, I get that. Yeah. And hired the best people that I found that specialize in those two things. Remax, and obviously I love Remax, but it's got nothing to do with Remax. It's that I've created the business and the systems and processes to go out there and differentiate myself, because there are tons of Remax agents. They're all independent contractors. We're under the same franchise. Yeah. What I do, I think, is completely different than anybody else out there. And
yeah, no, you do it. I wasn't trying to compare you to a Carol Snow.
Yeah,
Carol's still operating. However, the woman was not the type of agent that would say, "I can't show the property today at 7:00 because I go to bed by 9." I mean, it's just that's what we were getting from Karen. She wanted to be a 9 to 5. I can't tell you how many times I said to her, "Karen, I can't just pick up your call right in the middle of the day at 9:30, 10 o'clock, because I'm in meetings. I'm in and out. I'm an administrator at the college."
And that's when she wanted to contact
and it's not that I'm not allowed to conduct my personal stuff, but I try to restrict that for myself, because I don't, I'm a model. I need a role model to my staff. And so she continued to call me 9:30, 10 o'clock, texting me. Now, after 5 o'clock in the evening,
never hear her.
Rarely.
As a matter of fact, oftentimes he would especially Eddie, he would go and he would call or send her a text message at, let's say, 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, or even 6 or 7 in the evening, and we'd wait and wait and wait. Wouldn't hear back. Not even a text saying, "Listen, I can't talk to you right now. I'll give you a call," and give us a time when she could. Not even that. And it got to the point where I did have a conversation. I personally had a conversation with her once, and it was pretty straightforward with her. And I said, "Listen, I understand you're busy and you've got a lot of stuff going on." I said, "But when we send you a notification and we're asking some information, we expect a call back in a reasonable amount of time. Now, granted, I can understand, you're in the middle of a family dinner, blah, 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 but that dinner doesn't last all night long, and it takes 2 minutes to send a quick text, say, 'Listen, I can't speak right now. However, I can speak with you,' and give a time. So that way, at least okay, they got the message, and I know I can expect a call back within a certain amount of time." You know what I'm saying? And I had to be very confrontive about it, because it's like, I've done business in the past, and I know that when I don't respond to my customers in a timely fashion, that doesn't sit well with them. And so as a result, I want to make sure that, whoever we hire, because that's the experience we had with her, whoever we hire, that they're not afraid to respond to us, even if they can't at the moment. And I understand, you have a family, you have children, you have other things going on in your life. It's not like you're 24/7 on your job, but you have a way to respond back to us to let us know, "Listen, I got your message, I'm working on it," or something to that effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let me unpack that for you. First of all, I have a full-time admin named Kristen, who she is very, very instrumental in my business and keeping me organized and helping me when I'm not able to instantly answer a call. But I'm always available. So there's never going to, in fact, most of my follow-up is in the evening, because I'm so structured with business that I'm taking care of throughout the course of the day. I do run a high volume business. I have a team. I have buyer's agents. I have a transaction coordinator, but I am always available. So I might not respond to you instantly, but most of the times I will. If I can take the phone call, I'll take the phone call. But if I can't, I certainly am going to be back in touch with you in a reasonable amount of time. We're in a service business.
And I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This was to the point where we wouldn't hear from her for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or even.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that will never happen with me.
Well, if you look at the price of the property, so this will probably lead to your next sec.
Yeah.
We started off at 349 because that's what she said we should start off at, and it was us the ones pushing to lower the price. I mean, it was us
to
saying,
see that
and even if I was to say to her, hey, we're willing to lower another 5,000, it would take a couple of days for her to get back to us on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. That makes
it's just bizarre. It was bizarre.
Well, one thing I hand to God, that's not going to be your experience with me. So the email that I sent you is what I've just loaded in right now, and I suspect you've seen this. The one thing I can tell you about price is, so you were at 334.9, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't believe that you were. So I don't know whether that price is good or not. I think it's within the ballpark. But what I do know is that, so being under 335, when we've done everything that we do to market a property, we'll know within 2 weeks of us having done everything. So for example, if we had done all of our, you say yes today, we have all our professional photography done, whatever, tomorrow, we're on the market the next day. Within 14 days of that, we're either getting 3 to 5 showings a week or we're not. If we're not getting 3 to 5 showings a week, it's price. It's simply not. It's not the marketing. We've done, and I know this from experience, if you're not getting 3 to 5 showings a week, you're not going to get the result that you want, or it's going to take a heck of a lot longer than you want it to. You're priced right when you're getting that level of activity. So with that in mind, what I came up in terms of pricing, again, and this is just me crunching the numbers based on what's sold and what's in in the last 12 months. So based on that, the price we came up with was 337. My instinct tells me it's better to be under 335 for you. But I did the net sheet here at 337.5. And that's with paying a 2% commission to me, paying out 2.5%, so 4.5% total commission. We don't have any fees. At 337.5, I don't know what you own the property, but you're walking away with 317, and minus whatever your mortgage is or whatever you owe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're good if from your professional and being and doing this every day. If that's the price, I mean, probably the timing of this listing is better than the initial timing, because folks are now thinking, the heat, the warmth, and stuff like that. Plus I think the reason why I bought that property, I wasn't thinking I was going to buy it and move out as fast as we did.
Right.
I was thinking that I would stay upstairs with my wife, and we'd have that downstairs 1 bedroom with its own bathroom, be it an Airbnb type of thing. And my wife was not too happy about that. And to me, that's like the perfect Airbnb, because you could always give the person the code to get into the house and stuff like that. Sure. You can really generate a little income for yourself.
Yeah.
With that property.
Sure. And that's something that I would also include in. So there are no rental restrictions, correct?
Rental, no. The only and I'll be upfront. The only negative we have encountered is just the parking. Parking is very much a premium there.
It's like New York.
Basically, you have 2 spots, and where you can park, you know, the garage inside and 2 spots outside of the garage that you can actually park vehicles. The street parking is not really a possibility because even though there's space to it, but because the streets are not very wide, people that are backing out of their driveways, it becomes a hindrance sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
When we initially purchased the property or were purchasing it, we had asked about parking and where, because they don't have like an overflow parking space for visitors or stuff like that. And one of the things that they told us was that in the areas where there was no property, like it, right to the right of our house is a street.
Mm-hmm.
So behind our house is a big open lot, which is planted with greenery and stuff. And we were told that that section in front, we were able to park there as long as it wasn't on the opposite side where the driveways were. And we were also told that over by the pool area, by the fence section, as well as like, I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 total spots, 2 of which are handicapped, that people can actually come and park in. That would be, you know, the park overflow parking that people could use if you had guests from out of, you know, visiting. But what we have discovered after the fact is that that's not quite the case. And so we have had situations where our tenant, for example, has visitors,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll park on that little side section. And you have other tenants that, or other owners in the development that are complaining because, you know, they're parking in those areas. And so that's the real negative that we have encountered with the property. And I'm just upfront with it because I do know that that can become an issue for some people.
But it won't be for the right buyer.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's how we feel as well.
Right.
You know,
like for us, it would have been perfect because we have no family here in West Palm Beach. Well, I'm in Indiana right now.
well, and we had one visitor. It was my mom.
Her
That
mom,
came from Orlando area, you know.
Right.
And and we used to use the garage, so we'd pull our car in, and the 3 of us could park there with no problem.
Right.
And sometimes she would park it out right next to the house on the side on the street, and it wasn't an issue.
Right.
But all of a sudden, it would become an issue after the fact. So once we moved out.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
her
know.
brother's not there. He got married, so I never saw the guy there.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he's married, so now it's just her car parked in the driveway.
Mhm.
Okay.
So she's got room now.
So are you ready to list?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like everything that you've heard, that you said. The only thing is that we need to make sure that we understand that we have a really nice woman renting from us.
Yep.
She's also a professional, and she just, you know, wants courtesy to give her a heads up and stuff like that. She's very, very, very accommodating. She keeps her house. You can't do it today, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that was another thing that didn't really start. I don't know if I mentioned to you, Chris, that was something that didn't really start well with Carrie and her. Carrie was a little pushy and wanted to get her stuff, you know, at the time that was good for her. And then she realized, okay, this woman is too nice to be, you know, whatever. So, and again, because my tenant made it happen for her. And I think having had hundreds of tenants, I think I know of other tenants that would have been like, no way, I don't want this woman around me.
Yeah.
But and I think that's where Karen tried to soften the relationship by bringing in her by allowing the stepfather to be the one. And it sounded like the stepfather worked for Keller Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and Karen's excuse to us was, well, I just wanted to see if he can catch some leads for himself to help him out. But now I hear he's on his own, so I don't know. So I mean, that's something that I want to request, you know, that we have.
So she would. Yeah. So I've encountered this many times. We're going to be 100% respectful because look at if your tenant isn't happy, then nothing really happens. So it's important that we honor that too. So I would very easily just work our showings around her schedule and give her visibility on everything, she'd have 24 hours notice, and we can, anything that didn't work, we could simply schedule around. That's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I guess to answer your question about listing, yeah, I think I heard a lot of stuff that I wanted to hear, or I wasn't expecting to hear. Especially, I hate to put it this way because I don't know if you're a native Floridian or not, but you don't hear these type of presentations. Not that I'm not trying to undermine the realtors of Florida, but they seem to me to be using the strategies of 20 years ago. And I had a guy make a pretend he was to buy cash for my property, but his end game was for me to list with him, Century 21.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, right. I'll text you my email, and I never did. But I like what I heard, and like I said, the algorithms and the analytics and stuff like that.
I'm the real deal. I'm excited. I'm happy to get it done for you. So here's what I can do on my end if it meets with your approval. I've actually got to jump to another appointment here shortly, but I will put together the listing the listing documents. I can email them to you for e-sign. We can get that out of the way. Okay. Whenever I can schedule the photographer for whatever is convenient for you and your tenant. So no rush necessarily on that. Obviously, Thanksgiving's tomorrow and you got the holiday weekend. But if we could get that maybe sometime next week, that would be great. And then we can just kind of go from there. That sound fair?
Sounds good.
One quick question I do have. As far as time frame for marketing, would you say that this is a better time than any other time during the year? Or are we still at a part where it's not quite the best time where you have the most people coming in?
I think right now is the best time, and that's not a stock answer. Just that's a real answer, and here's why. You've got market dynamics are changing first and foremost. You got interest rates that are rising, which I don't know what the market's going to look like Q2 next year, and neither does anybody else. But I also know that we've got in terms of the inventory, there is competition that you have in Terra Cove right now, but you've also got a lot of seasonal buyers that are here right now. So in terms of timing, I think it's actually perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned, and I don't know, are you familiar with that area? I know Florida's huge, but
I mean, I'm everywhere, so yeah.
You know about the new baseball stadium that's right down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 20 miles away. I mean, it's when initially when they were building these things, there were several ball players that were interested in buying. So
yeah. Yeah, so look, you weren't marketed the right way. I don't think you were priced the right way out the gates. We're going to correct both of those things, and I suspect you're going to have I know on our end, you're going to have a much different experience, but I think you're going to accomplish exactly what you want much faster than you thought it was going to happen originally. So I'm excited. I appreciate
you saw this house, and maybe I'll sell my...
Well, listen.
You sell this one, and the one that I live at might be the next one.
Well, I want to be very upfront. I want to be your Florida realtor for life. So I'm going to do an amazing job for you. You're going to be impressed. I want you to tell all your friends about me, and anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to do.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. So I appreciate your time. I'm going to have the documents out to you this afternoon. I'll follow up once they've been sent, and then I look forward to getting this done for you. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right.
Same to you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.